Hey guys, today we're doing something pretty exciting. I'm going to be making myself a new knife kit from scratch. We got some pretty cool things into the shop right now, so I thought it'd be fun to imagine myself as a customer and go in and pick some awesome knives for myself. I've certainly got a bunch of knives up on the wall in my kitchen. I think I've got upwards of 15 knives, so it's kind of a fun experiment for me to make a new kit out of a smaller roll and being practical with myself and what I'll actually use and what I'll actually need. I might be pushing need a little bit with some of these guys, but we'll get into that. So I'm gonna switch you guys up to the bird's eye and we'll see you there. All right, so first things first, we have this sweet new roll that we just got into the shop. These are on the website, but there's no photo yet. That being said, by the time that this video goes live, I will probably have those done. All right, I guess we'll start least exciting to most exciting. For me, that would be these tweezer tongs, 30 centimeters straight. I use these guys as tongs. I use them to even flip things as big as steak or turn things on a tray. I use these to get pickles out of jars. I use these to get things out of the drain. You can still use them to plate. They're not too big for that. So these guys are definitely a necessity in any kit of mine. Up next is a ceramic honing rod. All the knives that I have in this kit are going to be carbon steel. So I got the 8000 version, a little bit finer, going to work a little bit better on the carbon steel knives. Again, nothing super exciting there, just a little bit of edge maintenance. And then I guess we'll start from the smallest and work our way up to the biggest. So first, I have chosen the Hatsukokoro Kurouchi Peti in 150 millimeters. I'm super fond of 150 millimeters. That's what I've used for as long as I've been into knives. I don't think that they're too big to choke up on and core a tomato, but they're also nice for smaller butchery tasks. This one's a little bit taller, which I personally like because I tend to like larger knives. So this guy's great if you want to do any shallot or garlic or anything like that on the board, and gonna still be a fantastic knife to break a chicken down. It's got a little bit of a thicker spine, so I'm not gonna feel bad using it for rougher tasks like that. For me, if I'm honest, a petty knife is always the knife that gets beat up in a kit, so I didn't want to go too dear on this guy. Bring her in a little bit, show you guys that we have some Wenge octagonal handles on this guy with buffalo horn. These guys are ironclad with a blue 2 core steel. Cool, moving on. You'll also notice I'm not much of a Saya dude. I prefer these knife guards. They're a little bit lighter. They don't weigh the roll down quite as much. But this one's kind of weird for a guard. We just didn't have a Saya for it. But we have the 165 millimeter Shirisagi Deba. This guy's sweet. I'm going to be using this for all of my butchery tasks. I could still definitely take something like this and part a chicken if I wanted to. I could also use the petty for stuff like that. But if I want to break down any big fish or have any rougher tasks like that, this guy's going to be fantastic. This guy's going to have the same handle that was on the petty knife, so the Wenge octagonal with the buffalo horn ferrule. This guy's made out of Shirigami number 1, I believe. I will correct that in post if not, with an iron cladding. My next knife is a 210 millimeter Maburoshi Yanagi. Now that I'm at home, I find my slicing tasks, if I'm not already just doing them with my gyuto, that I really don't need anything super huge anymore. I'm not breaking down any 35-pound salmons at home or anything like that. If I am, I've already broke them down into maki blocks or something like that with the next knife that we'll talk about. And I'm just not finding myself needing a huge slicer. I do really like the Yanagiba and the shorter size to kind of be used for some of the things that I would have used a petty for before. If that makes sense. I find that myself now more with my petty or with my small slicers, I find that I'm doing really delicate cuts. So if I'm doing chives or scallions really, really fine, or chili strands or something like that, I'll reach for something like this. And the single bevel is just super, super nice for getting in really, really fine cuts on stuff like that. Like we said, this guy's from Fujiwara Maburoshi line, so this guy's going to be Shirigami with a stainless cladding. Have a very traditional octagonal magnolia and buffalo horn handle on these guys. And then finally, big boy of the kit is going to be these new Matsumi Hanora Kurouchi gyutos that we just got in 240 millimeters. These guys are also Shirigami, but with a stainless cladding. We have a burnt chestnut handle with a buffalo horn ferrule, octagonal as well. I still find that I'm doing most of my work with my larger gyuto, my 240, occasionally my 270. So if I'm just picking one for the kit, I'm going to go for the 240 because it's probably a little bit more versatile. But this is going to be the main workhorse. I felt okay getting some more task-specific knives in such a small kit because I realized that most of the time, this is the knife that I am going for. This is the knife that I'm reaching for if I'm going to break down a squash or a melon or something like that. I really like these guys. Again, all this stuff's carbon, so it's going to be super easy to sharpen, which is my preference. These guys are a little bit thicker out of the tang with a really nice taper on them, but they are super, super thin. You guys probably can't see that on video, but there is nail flex behind the edge there, so these guys are going to perform at a very, very high level. That being said, I'm not going to be able to be super rough with this guy, which is fine with me. So yeah, that's the final piece of the kit. Again, I think I've covered all my bases here if I'm being realistic with what I'm actually going to find myself using, which most of the time is going to be these two. So I figure if I'm going to have some other knives in there, they better do some tasks really, really well that nothing else in the kit does. This guy obviously is going to be fantastic for those rougher butchery tasks and doing a lot of fish, especially if I'm doing something a little bit larger than a lake fish. It's nice to have something a little bit bigger once you get used to using a debo over something like a fillet knife. And then for the small slicer, again, if I want something that's going to have a shallower blade, so lower drag, I'm not going to want to get the big 240 out. So if I'm doing fine cuts of fish or chicken breasts really thin or cutting a flank steak really, really thin, this guy's fantastic. When I moved into more of the cooked proteins, again, I still find myself reaching for my larger chef knife over either my suji or my yani in my kit. So I don't need something super big for that because I'm just going to reach for the bigger gyuto for that anyways. So this is the 4-piece kit that I've made for myself. I find with a larger collection of my own that I already have, I'm definitely gravitating towards a few more task-specific knives and then having something like a big 210 or 240 gyuto to do the workhorse or the majority of the work. If you guys think I missed anything, if you guys think that this is completely wrong and your 4-piece kit would look completely different from mine, let me know in the comments down below. Thanks for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed this. Remember to smash that like button or slice it, whichever you prefer. Subscribe for more knife-related content. Until next time, stay sharp.